You didn't tell your customers you were sorry. Do they have a right to be insulted?
Have you returned one nickel of the millions of dollars that you were paid while this scam was going on?
1% of a big part of your business is fired over fraud, but that doesn't rise to your level.
Have you resigned as CEO or chairman of Wells Fargo?
Do you promise to pay back every single extra dollar these people are going to incur over the next 30 years?
I've been on this committee for nearly 10 years now. You have done something that has never happened in the last 10 years and united this committee on a major topic, and not in a good way.
Okay, that was just a rough sampling of the questions directed and the fury leveled against that man there. He's the CEO of Wells Fargo. There has been a decision made by the board of directors at Wells Fargo that he's got to repay $41 million worth of stock that he would have earned. They don't like what he did at Wells Fargo. Now, Judge Napolitano is with us. You hate this, don't you?
I do.
Wait, let me say it. The whole idea is that politicians pressure a private company and force them into the top executive has to give back some of his pay. It wasn't the politicians that forced him, it was the board that forced him to give back his pay. But you hate the intrusion of politicians, don't you?
I do. I think it's an improper use of government power. In terms of what they said, they're a bunch of two-bit political hacks who operate a government that owes $20 trillion, that is still paying interest on debts incurred by Woodrow Wilson, and they're telling a bank how it should be operated?
You always deny the intrusion of politics. You don't think politics has any role whatsoever. Well, it does have a role.
Obviously it has a role. I deny that the Constitution authorizes them to bully a bank. If the board decides...
Where does it say thou shalt not bully a bank?
Well, you're assuming that it can do everything except thou shalt not. That's the inverse of what it says. It says only you may do the following. And among the following 16 powers in Article 1 is not thou shalt bully a bank.
I got to, you didn't know.
But here's the argument that I would make, and I think you probably agree. You're pretending to be big government. If the board decides he's not worth the $41 million he received in stock options, even though he's done an otherwise terrific job because of this particular series of events, which happened over many years and many instances under his watch. That's a board decision. They should make a prudent business decision, not one made out of fear that the government will come after them if they don't do what the political hacks in the government want.
Get real.
The Supreme Court has...
they're going to bend to that pressure.
Well, the Supreme
you want to
Court
be pilloried like that?
The Supreme Court has a doctrine which makes it very difficult for Congress to target a particular taxpayer and regulate it out of business.
So what? They're doing it.
Well, it makes it difficult for Congress to do it. They're doing it because the members of the board, I don't know who they are afraid of their own shadows. If they're doing it out of fear. If they're doing it because they believe he's not worth the $41 million they already paid him, that's a different story.